What's up, guys? Our wrestling podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Jess the Total Package, Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic: whatever happened to Koko B Ware? For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcast, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, can you give Jess a heart attack and follow us on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook Meta at Our Wrestling Podcast?
You're all trash.
Well, let them follow. Let them follow. They want to. You just you scare them sometimes.
Yeah, no.
You know, you just
Do it at the end, not the
Why
beginning.
are we doing Koko? Not that I'm not excited. I'm a Koko fan.
He was a big part of our childhood. Like he was part of the rockin' '80s. He was a part of a lot of that, and a lot of people forget about it. And it's easy to always do stuff to honor like the big top of the card guys. And I don't mean that as a disrespect at all. Everybody's going to rank in life, whether you're in a company, in a family, or in a wrestling promotion. Like there's always going to be the tops and the middles and the bottoms. It's just like that in life. Like it's just the way it is. What it is. And Koko was a mid card guy. He was maybe the very definition of mid card. Like he was always shined up real nice on syndicated television, but he lost every big pay per view and everything. And we're going to talk about that more.
Yeah,
but he's a Hall of Famer. Fuck
yeah, and you talk about Memphis. He was on top in Memphis for a long time, right?
Yeah, in territories before WWF, like he was doing really well. Like
he was around when I first started watching wrestling, the first years of it. And you want to talk about a guy kind of ahead of his time. Now you want to talk about the luchadors and the high flying and the different stuff. He was the guy that had not one finisher, but two finishers.
I'm actually glad that you said that.
On Saturday morning, if he hit both the bird buster / brain buster and that flying drop kick, there was nobody that made you pop and jump out of your seat on Saturday morning than Koko B effing Ware.
So I'm glad you said that because this was a really close episode. I wanted to do a trendsetter Koko B Ware, and I just kind of figured maybe I'd get some slack on it.
No.
Or flack or whatever. Flack?
Not flack. No, I'd give you
but
slack.
Then I was like, is it slack or slack? I don't know.
Slack is when we like
about it.
Yes, that'd be flack.
So I was like, maybe I should do What Happened Too, because we did a trendsetter on like Pillman, and Pillman was around the same time and stuff like that. And I really think if you think about it, Koko is kind of a trendsetter because he was a cruiserweight, not identified as a cruiserweight, by the way, but he was a cruiserweight in the land of the giants. And Dave will read that in the notes too, which was unheard of because Vince has never really favored light heavyweights or cruiserweights ever. And so Koko survived for years in the WWF, which in the late 80s and early 90s was commonly referred to as Land of the Giants.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, all we've said at the beginning of this podcast is What Happened To. We could name the title. We could call it a trendsetter. You could title it, and we could, from this point forward, move to trendsetters and talk about trendsetters and still call it trendsetters if you wanted to. Because and I think there's enough even in the notes that actually give a nod to it.
Because I changed some of the notes too. Yeah. Like I changed some of the verbiage. I'm like, maybe we should just do a What Happened To. And I don't mean any disrespect towards Koko, by the way, because we're just wrestling fans trying to come up with good topics and everything and talk about stuff or whatever. So we don't mean any disrespect. We're not pro wrestlers. We haven't sacrificed our bodies like that. So
I spent a weekend at California Wrestling School.
We spent a day or two in training.
Thank you.
But yeah, so Koko is a fucking really good professional wrestler. Really good. And the older we get, the more we're like, God, Koko was fucking good, man. Like, He's a trendsetter.
He ticked all the boxes.
Everything. I said Memphis. It's Georgia. My bad, Georgia.
No, I think
he was in a few. He was in a few different. He was in Memphis. Yeah, he was in
Memphis as well.
I think you were right. Yeah. In the beginning where he cut his teeth, but he was a guy that checked all the boxes, maybe except for size and maybe physique and taking care of his body. But he had promo, the colorful. He was on an ice cream bar. His t-shirts, the bird. He was a dream at first, but then just like kind of Jake, he's never going to be Hogan. He has to be the second or third.
Somebody said once you're on an ice cream bar, you've made it. So, hey.
Yeah.
Some people get really jealous about that, actually. Just saying.
Sorry. I just figured out that.
Let's just jump right in. Koko B Ware spent many successful years in the territories from Jarrett's Continental Wrestling, Mid-Atlantic, CWF, World Class, and Bill Watts, UWF. He learned his craft and excelled even at 5'7" and 228 pounds. That's still a big boy, 228 at 5'7". He was, and not in a bad way. Koko was shredded back in the territories for sure. In 1983, Koko became partners with Norville Austin and became the Pretty Young Things and would win tag titles in CWF and Continental Wrestling Association. He would briefly wrestle for Bill Watts' UWF in 1986 and change his name to Koko B Ware, and he would enter the ring to Morris Day's The Bird and would flap those arms.
I always found it
character
interesting when
development
talent that we thought was WWF branded kind of started experimenting before.
Yeah.
Like Hogan
Yeah.
was the same thing. Like Hogan in the AWA started Hulkamania and started that whole thing. And then when you went to WWF, they just in your mind though, it's like, oh, Vince created Hulkamania. But the word and the way Hogan used it in the promo, he created in AWA before that. Go started doing a bird gimmick ish with Bill Watts in UWF, which is weird.
Because he was a high flyer, obviously.
Yeah.
Come on.
But yeah, you
He
think
was
that McMahon
the-
created
he was
it
the
from the
bird.
beginning and penciled it, but
Yeah.
McMahon just puts the attention to detail that makes it pop and makes it,
Yeah.
Makes it WWF.
Like JYD,
explode.
Junkyard Dog was Junkyard Dog before he went to WWF.
It was. Yeah. Absolutely.
You need stencils on your ass that says thump.
You need to bring
There it is.
You need to bring a bird, like a physical bird. Like that's the only difference that Vince did. Got a
That
bird.
poor
He's like, do I have to
bird,
travel with the
I can't
bird?
imagine
You
the
have to
travel.
indeed travel
Wow.
with the bird. It's your responsibility.
But can't I just flap my wings and actually just have a sign that says bird? And
No,
paint
you need to travel with a bird and have it be a huge burden.
It's a huge pain in the ass. I travel
Unintended.
300 days a year. All right, I'll do
Yep.
it.
All right, I'll do it. He's making more money than he ever made, but he did.
I don't fucking belly. Go talk to Jake if you don't like that. I fucking put a snake on him. Like,
Am I
he's
going to
like,
be IC
all right.
champ? Am I going to be IC champ? Am I
No.
gonna be...
No.
Oh.
God no.
Didn't matter. In August of
Is your name
1986
Randy Savage? Then no.
Then no. Koko B Ware signed
Where's
with the
this
World
bird shit all over the
Wrestling
floor?
Federation, where he continued his fun-loving Birdman Koko B Ware persona, complete with macaw named Frankie. On television, his first major showcase was at the November 29th, 1986 Saturday Night's Main Event 8, where he defeated Nikolai Volkov. That's not a bad pickup on Main Event. Defeat.
USA.
He said USA. He was then, not Koloff, but Koko was granted an Intercontinental title match against that champion, Randy Savage, on the November 16th edition of Wrestling Challenge. That went to a double count.
I'd like to see that match. I did not see that match. I don't know if that's available. I'd like to see that.
Disqualified right there for that. Both men could well, in fact, be counted out here as they both spent an awful lot of time outside that ring. Koko wouldn't let Savage get back in. Please. We're going to have to wait for the decision here as Savage not too happy with the outcome of this match. Let's get the official word.
The official decision on this bout, a double countout.
Just as I expected, both men outside the ring for an awful long time. Double count out, but still tremendous showing here by Koko B Ware.
You got lucky one time, Birdman. We went to double count out. We'll see what happens in the rematch.
Flip your wings. I'm gonna clip them.
And clean this bird shit up. Yeah, like I knew it. I told you there was bird shit everywhere. What the fuck?
These are $100 shoes.
$100 Oh, God.
You told me to bring a bird, so I did. I
Which one of you gave Frankie chocolate? Frankie can't eat
Okay.
chocolate.
Oh,
No.
I can't even read the the captions. Okay.
Chocolate gives Frankie the shits.
So good. It was when he joined the WWF in 1986 that Koko influenced the industry and the #1 promotion in the United States.
AWA?
The WWF was well known as the land of the giants.
Atlantic.
With stars such as Hulk Hogan, King Kong Bundy, Kamala, One Man Gang, and Big John Studd. And don't forget Andre the Giant. It was incredible that Koko had become a featured mid-card wrestler.
No
Birds, creep me out. Bird, I like birds.
What
I'm just running in the-
Andre hated birds?
It's so good. This is so good. You can imagine. I feel like these conversations really happened at the time. No, Bird.
No,
Frankie, scare me.
What is that? What is that? He just fucking freaks out.
It's just Frankie.
As he's playing cards, you know.
Oh God, damn it!
Oh,
So
God damn it.
using his speed and high flying offense, not Andre Koko, Ware's size difference was not as noticeable.
Dave.
He had notable feuds with the Islanders and Bobby Heenan,
Oh.
the natural Butch Reed, Hercules, and Greg Valentine, where he was typically on the losing end of those. He would, however, be highlighted against enhancement talent on Syndicate TV. Yeah, we saw him pretty much every Saturday, Sunday, taking out a prelim, and it was fun. We loved it. Ware also sang the title track of the 1987 WWF album Pile Driver, which then became his entrance music. He also started the music video. Jess, please.
Like, honestly, like, that's a big deal. Like, again, you know,
Yeah.
when you think of 80s wrestlers or rocking 80s, you know, everyone's going to say Hogan,
Well, because
Piper, Savage.
Coco
and-
could really sing, though.
But Coco was like, yeah, he could really sing and he was super
why
talented.
they
So they
gave it
put
to
him on the Pile Driver album. He sang
Yeah.
the fucking title track. It's awesome.
And it's great. It is great.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to it right when we're done with this, actually.
We
When
did a
we're done with
paper route together as children, and we used to
Oh, my
blast the
fondest
Pile
memories
Driver album. Well,
Fucking
at
Pile
5 in the
Driver.
morning, throwing
this.
the
Pile
papers.
Driver. Oh.
It sounds just like a power driver. Yeah, a power driver.
It's
So
funny how you forget
he
about
was positioned for greatness at this point. If he was trusted with like being the face, and it's almost like a bit of a missed opportunity with him too. Like, man, he was never going to
Yeah,
be
well, I
Hogan,
mean,
but he could have stayed up top.
Because Vince never liked cruiserweights per se.
yeah,
And I don't know what that threshold is. And Coco was small. He was 5'7". He wasn't as big. And even for a male wrestler, 5'7" is pretty small.
Yeah,
So,
that
you
is
know,
that is true.
Well, but
Yeah.
I mean, like Dave kind of read a little bit about it too. His wrestling, I never remembered. I knew he was a short wrestler even growing up.
He never
but
came off
they-
as a cruiserweight
Or
or
there
a
against
small
guys
guy.
like Bundy and the Boss Man, guys that were noticeably bigger.
Looked
and
fine.
the way he wrestled, he made himself look equal as far as size was
Yeah.
concerned. So it's pretty awesome. Like, yeah.
During a 1989 European tour, Koko B Ware was fired for his part in a physical altercation
He-
with WWE executive Jim Troy. He sounds like an asshole.
Scissor fight
Um,
with Frankie.
No.
No.
Troy apparently
Scissor
had
fight?
used racial slurs during the argument, after
shit.
which the dispute had turned physical.
Ugh.
Where Koko B Ware was later rehired, though, a little over a month when Troy resigned. So it sounds like they got a little heated, let Coco go. And then when they got down to it, sounds like Troy had
And then
to get the
found
F
out that this Troy prick was an asshole. And then so they're just like, yeah, so we're going to hire you back.
Anybody
we
named
had to let
Troy
you go because you fought.
gotta
Yeah.
be an asshole.
Good for Coco.
Yeah.
And there's also
But-
a memorable, not to sidetrack, I know I just thought of this because I was thinking of like someone who doesn't put up with bullshit for some reason, but Coco kind of shooting a little bit on like a, was it an NWA taping or something with a guy that wasn't going his way?
No, it
There's
was
like
an old, fuck. I don't remember. It wasn't NWA, but yeah, we did it on our archive episode.
Yeah, it's in our archives.
One of the Wrestling Gets Real prelim edition.
yes.
Wrestling
Yeah.
Gets Real prelim. Yeah, and he beat up some prelim because he disrespected him back before
Go
the
back,
match.
go back and
Coco
look
was
at
a
that. Go
legit
back and
tough
watch
guy.
that
Coco
episode.
would whip your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in WWE, you always saw Coco as the happy-go-lucky kind of wrestler. But when he was on top, if you mess with him out there, I thought that's where it was. I thought that legitimately was in Memphis when that happened, because I think the announcers were talking about Memphis, and that's where
It
was
might
stuck
be
in my brain.
Memphis, Dave. You might be right. Yeah. you might
Yeah,
be right.
and that's where it was. And yeah, he just destroys this guy. And after he punches him and pins him, he slaps the shit out of him when it's over too.
Yeah.
It's-
Like one last,
I was like, Coco was upset. Like something happened in the back, or something happened right at the beginning of the match, and he was noticeably not Coco. Like he wasn't
Yeah.
happy.
he
about
he
nothing.
complained about the bird shit. He's like, why is it gotta be so much bird shit?
And
backstage?
He didn't even
that's
have a bird
funny.
at the time. for this
Well, that's
shit.
really funny. There was no bird. There was no bird at the time. Coco was not. That was pre-bird. That was
His whole
pre-Frankie
life,
for
like
sure.
for some odd reason, people are like, why is there bird shit here, Coco? He's like, I don't know. Like, I don't-
Yeah. So at Survivor Series
It
1990,
was
Koko
totally
B Ware would get his
pre-bird.
first television victory for the Undertaker. Hold on.
What's
would
up?
be the
Skip a
first
second?
victory for the Undertaker. Excuse me, and the first
Yeah,
wrestler to
Undertaker
get,
debuted at Survivor Series 90,
and
and
that's the first person to get
yeah.
the pile driver tombstone.
He gave the first televised tombstone pile driver to Koko, and Koko was his first pinfall victory, The Undertaker. Survivor Series 1990.
Outsmarted and outstrung. Look at this. Hang on to him like a sack of... Oh! He just got nailed with a tombstone. What is it? I think it's a tombstone, and it's over. It's over for that guy. It sure was a tombstone.
Thank you,
That's
Koko.
awesome. That's great. In 1992, Ware would team up with Owen Hart to form the high-flying team known as High Energy, well known for their gigantic, baggy, brightly colored pants. I call them hammer pants. And checkered suspenders, because that's what they
The
are.
world calls them hammer pants.
Yeah. So those are total hammer pants. And by the way, that's a good... They should have done it sooner, maybe. That was... And it didn't go anywhere, really, but, I enjoyed it. High Energy would feud and really lost to a lot. The Nasty Boys, the Head Shrinkers, and Money Incorporated. They made only one pay-per-view appearance as a team, a loss to the Head Shrinkers at the 1992 Survivor Series. Koko would job out to several stars after he and Owen split up. One of them being Yokozuna on their first ever
Oh my
Raw.
God, Koko.
Ware was on the
Koko-
first ever Raw.
Koko B Ware down on the canvas. Get up from there.
No, please don't.
Get up from there, Koko. You better be moving out of the way.
Koko.
There's about to be an earthquake here in New York City. Busty! Oh, no.
My goodness. Record players just skipped and glum.
Koko
Was he
went
really?
through it. The only person who
Yeah.
went through more generations, I feel like sometimes is the Undertaker, but Koko went through some stuff. Like you're talking about him landing with Undertaker, wrestling with the likes of Macho Man, and then Yoko at the end. It's just that's so much in between. That's pretty awesome. It's an awesome career, really, when you think about it. He appeared at WWE Homecoming, Raw's return to the USA Network on October 3rd, 2005. Sounds like a one-nighter where he fought and was defeated by Rob Conway.
Back in 05.
On April 4th, 2009, Ware was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame by the Honky Tonk Man, and he would wrestle his first match in 2019. I have to ask, were him and the Honky Tonk Man close? Like, they were tight?
I don't know
That's
why
weird.
they chose that. I mean, they were friendly, I'm sure. And I think they did hang out in Memphis together.
And my last thanks goes to the WWE. For giving me the opportunity to share my wrestling talent with all the fans all over the world. Thank you, and God bless the world. Yeah!
No, yeah. So he's a Hall of Famer. He was put in 2009 in the WWE Hall of Fame. And I don't want to bring this up as a downer note.
Oh, yeah, I know.
That sparked a lot of controversy. A lot of people always kind of say WWE Hall of Fame. It's not really a Hall of Fame. It's just like, what have you done for me lately? And it's a little political, which I think most Hall of Fames are, right? Am I correct in saying that?
But people who say that though don't know Koko's backstory in the
after
territories.
Koko got
He did very
inducted,
well.
it became a point of debate. As like, and a lot of people would call him the floor of the WWE Hall of Fame. meaning like,
Bullshit.
well, if it, yeah, and
Bullshit.
I only say that, and I don't mean to be a down note because I want us to buck back and say like that's trash and that's a crappy way
Yeah,
to
I
think,
disagree.
and fuck you, because you want to know why? Wrestling's fake. All these people put their bodies on the line, men and women equally. Steve Lombardi was a jobber for years, so because he didn't win, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For the stuff that he did for jobbing for so many years. He was eating Handsome and Talent for years. And then he did stuff behind the scenes for years more, like after that. So I think that you people who just I understand the thought of it, right? Like if you want to pretend wrestling's real, sure. Why would you put a jobber in the Hall of Fame? But we all know wrestling's not real. And so when the Hall of Fame happens, I think that you should celebrate their
Yeah.
outside of the ring persona and their inside the ring
If you made it
persona.
real, I think Koko would have beaten a lot more people than he lost to because Koko
Yeah.
could go.
A valid point on that statement for sure. But I mean, like, it's just Koko was a talented wrestler that sacrificed just as much as the rest. And we talked about all the names that he wrestled. What else do you want?
He is a trendsetter.
It's about being a good hand. It's about making guys. Undertaker.
He did
that.
He did that. And
Yokozuna
he never argued about it
for years. Just did his job and probably was an amazing worker and on every house show and probably never missed a loop. And even on that fight,
and by the way, for his size, an overachiever.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that promotion in WWF.
You can
10 years later, he could have been
part of the I always wondered, whenever Pillman and Liger and stuff were feuding in 91, 92 for the WCW light heavyweight championship, why in the world Koko didn't go over? He just loved WWE and he loved the stability of the check and everything like that. Why didn't he go over? Why didn't we see him on Nitro when the Cruiserweight division first?
This is awful because we don't know who he is or whatever, but I will say when the physique that he started with in 87, 88, he lost kind of fairly quickly and then gained weight all through his career and high energy and was still agile and did all the right stuff, but he was noticeably heavier for the rest of his career.
So maybe he didn't look like a cruiserweight, so they didn't want to put him. Yeah,
he just never had the body for.
That's a VKM kind of ask of you need to get bigger.
Yeah, but also I think in kind of industry wide too, right? If you're not going to be 7 foot and 500 pounds, then you better keep yourself in shape.
If you're 6'5", you can gain some lbs and be fine. But if you're 5'7", you can't.
And that's not me shitting on Koko.
True.
People told him to put weight on his entire career, so he did, and then he got shit on for it. Or maybe just life is hard, and you have to carry a bird and care for a bird on the road for 300 days a year in a car. You eat some carbs.
Bird shit everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Koko, was an unbelievable talent in the ring, a lot of charisma, a lot of personality, and was a smaller guy as far as height goes, but. You talk about tough, I'd put Koko in there with any 7-footer fucking supposed tough guy that there was, and I think Koko would be the one walking out.
I wanted to do it because, he's in the Hall of Fame. I thought it was ridiculous that people start backlashing, going, "Oh, this might be the bottom,"
No, that upsets me.
Stop it.
Who said that?
The Hall of Fame is to recognize people who don't get recognized on screen. There are so many unsung heroes who were jobbers. And Koko was even a jobber. He was a mid-card. He was a mid-card wrestler. Koko should be honored. Why is that the bottom?
That's the perfect way to say it. You put them in the Hall of Fame because to show what they did that you didn't see. And so much of wrestling is about what you don't see.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Seeing people getting put in the Hall of Fame, that's a good point. You get to actually see their untold story about how important they really were.
For audio fans, give us a listen to Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, can you just follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast.
No.
For Jess, Craig, and Dave, this is the O.W.P signing off. Have a good one. Yes, do you honestly the death of freedom of family choice? Doesn't this don't mean like you cowards? Do you ring? This